I just don't understand why you Chinese men, when you can't find a wife, go looking for women from Thailand or Vietnam. Aren't Myanmar girls good enough? We can do laundry, cook, and even give you children. However many children you want, we can give. And most importantly, we don't need to kneel for anyone.
Experts suggest opening the international market and bringing in foreign brides. However, many young women in the country won't be happy about that. There are already many older unmarried women in the country, and if you bring in more foreign brides, won't that disrupt the market? In fact, it doesn't disrupt it at all. Those girls who want a high bride price won't marry men who are looking for foreign girls because, frankly, those men are quite stingy and won't offer a high bride price. There's really no chance for a connection between them. The place in China where the most foreign brides are taken is Guangxi, especially from Vietnam and some Southeast Asian countries. Now, there are also quite a few marriages with Russian women. For example, in Vietnam, the average income is around 2,000 yuan per month. In China, if you earn, say, 5,000 yuan a month, that's considered very wealthy to them. If you can earn 10,000 yuan a month, in their eyes, you're like a millionaire. But in the domestic market, if you earn 10,000 yuan, hardly any girl would be interested in you. What is the Chinese market like? It's not just that girls earn less than 5,000 yuan, but I would still look down on a man who earns 15,000 yuan a month. For Vietnamese and Southeast Asian girls marrying into China, they don't care if you have a bride price, a house, or a car. They don't ask for anything. As long as you treat them well, they're satisfied. It's that simple, and they are also hard workers and dedicated. In the eyes of foreign girls, Westerners are too liberated, and in Japan and South Korea, there's evident male dominance. To them, Chinese men are hardworking, persevering, and caring towards their wives. 10 or 20 years ago, Chinese people were the most likely to marry foreigners, but that has decreased significantly now. I had a friend who married in Australia and faced many difficulties during childbirth. Over there, after giving birth, women don't follow the month-long postpartum recovery. If she were to make such a request, it would seem absurd and extremely rude. Many things that grandparents in China naturally do are not even considered by couples abroad. For example, if you say you're very busy and ask your partner to help look after the child, they would tell you that they have no obligation to do so. In China, you would never hear such a statement. It's impossible to hear something like that. After hearing this, you realize how significant the differences between the two countries are. If it were you, how would you choose?
Chinese men are being crazily sought after by women worldwide, but some in the country are unwilling to go along with it. A while ago, Professor Ding Changfa from Xiamen University suggested opening up international marriages and bringing in suitable foreign women to solve the problem of marriage difficulties for rural men. As soon as this statement was made, it immediately sparked intense discussions online, with various parties arguing fiercely. Many boyfriends stated that foreign brides, especially women from Southeast Asia, are hardworking, have low demands, and are indeed suitable for a good life together. Especially for young men in rural areas, the bride price, housing, and car are unbearable burdens. Getting married means emptying out all the family's savings, making it truly unaffordable, hence marrying abroad is also a last resort. However, many female netizens raise different opinions. They believe that foreign women have language barriers and cultural differences, making it easy to generate family conflicts after marriage. Male compatriots cannot only consider costs, but must also think about whether the marriage will be happy. Moreover, in Southeast Asia, many women are involved in marriage scams, and if one gets deceived, it would mean losing both the wife and money. These female netizens ultimately concluded that Chinese men, even if they don't marry, should not randomly marry foreign brides. When this viewpoint emerged, male netizens were naturally displeased, leading to even more heated arguments. Despite the arguments and disputes, everyone knows the current situation of the domestic marriage market. According to the Ministry of Civil Affairs, in the first half of 2024, the number of marriages in China was 3.43 million pairs, and the total for the year is expected to be 6.6 million pairs, marking the lowest figure since 1980. Compared to 13.06 million pairs in 2014, this represents a direct halving over 10 years. If they are unwilling to get married, will they still want to have children? In 2023, the total population sold in China was 9.02 million, the lowest record since the founding of New China. If we consider the fertility rate, it is second to last among major global economies, lower than Japan, and is looking towards South Korea. Faced with such a severe situation, we can only start taking drastic measures. The first measure is that marriage will no longer require a household registration booklet. One can get married with just an ID card. This means eliminating the common scenario seen in romantic dramas where parents disagree with their children's marriage and hold on to the household registration booklet to prevent the issuance of a marriage certificate. The second measure is to open up international marriages. Professor Xia's theory certainly holds water. You see, due to capital consistently suppressing women, the partner selection views of some domestic women are quite unrealistic. Just look at the matchmaking events hosted by Wang Po. There are so many girls over 30 with only average conditions who still demand that the partner's annual salary be 200,000 to 300,000, that they must have a house and a car, and for the next generation, a minimum height of 1.8 meters, all while appearing to take these demands for granted. It can be said that boys with a monthly income of less than 10,000 basically have no chance in the domestic matchmaking market. But with the same conditions, it's a different story for foreign women. In recent years, China's rapid economic development means that while our per capita GDP is still just over $12,000, the actual standard of living is not inferior to those with 2 or 3 times that amount. Many countries have had a significant change in their impression of us. They used to think we were dirty and chaotic, but after visiting, they find that we are far better than they imagined. With well-developed infrastructure, abundant material resources, plenty of food, and good social security, the improvement of China's international status naturally raises the position of Chinese men in the international marriage market. Moreover, the reputation of Chinese men in the international marriage market has always been quite good. Compared to the unruly Western men, the male chauvinists from Japan and South Korea, and the indifferent men from Southeast Asia, Chinese men are generally seen as practical and hardworking, diligent and ambitious, with a sense of responsibility toward their families, especially their wives, showing genuine care. It's no exaggeration to say that if the world opened up to fair competition, Chinese men would be highly sought after in the global marriage market. With China's rising international status and good fertility rates, these two factors combined will naturally lead to more foreign girls willing to marry into China, not just from Southeast Asia. Girls from Russia, Ukraine, Argentina, and even Japan, South Korea, and Western countries are willing to marry Chinese men. Chinese boys also like to marry foreign girls for 2 main reasons. First, most of the couples where a Chinese man marries a foreign woman will return to live in China, making the psychological gap less significant. It's just that the skin color of the wife is different. Secondly, the cost of marrying a foreign girl is much lower than in China. There's rarely a concept of bride price abroad, and mothers-in-law do not insist on buying houses or cars. The only cost is slightly higher for the wife to return to her parental home. As China's international status continues to rise and connections with the world grow tighter, the future trend will undoubtedly see more international marriages, and the number of Chinese men marrying foreign women will far exceed that of Chinese women marrying foreign men. This pattern has been repeatedly verified by many countries around the world. The economic foundation determines the superstructure, without mentioning anything else, just along the Belt and Road, who knows how many foreign girls will come back married.
If a Chinese man marries a foreign wife, this can allow that foreign wife to obtain Chinese nationality. Surely, many women from Russia, Southeast Asia, and African countries would be especially willing to marry Chinese citizens, and the difficult reality of finding wives in our country would also change directly. Therefore, the proposal by Mr. Ding Changxing, an economics expert at Xiamen University, to open international marriages and introduce foreign women to solve the problem of unmarried young men in rural China is really feasible. It might just be a matter of time. The issue is simple. The birth rate in our country is declining too quickly. If Chinese women didn't require houses or dowries and simply registered the marriage, surely the birth rate in our country could increase instantly. However, it is evident that in the current environment, this is not feasible, as most women would not agree to such marriages. But foreign women are different. When we compare the Chinese dowry with that of other countries around the world, it is among the highest, whether in developed or developing countries. Therefore, If we can't resolve this issue internally, in the future, it is indeed possible that we will need to look for solutions abroad. Speaking of this, we should consider the import of labor from countries like Japan, Korea, and the United States. Many people from our country go to work in these countries, mainly because the young people in these developed nations are already unwilling to have children, leading to a very serious problem in population structure and causing a severe labor shortage. So when society cannot function, the country will naturally consider bringing in foreigners, allowing people from less developed countries to go there to work and earn money, thus helping to fill the local labor shortage. Those who work in these countries for a long time can obtain local green cards or identities, allowing them to marry, settle down, and have children, and they can also enjoy local welfare benefits. Therefore, when a country's population falls below a certain threshold, that country will gradually consider opening mechanisms for foreign importation. Currently, our country has not yet reached this stage, but we cannot rule out that it will not open in the future. However, our country is doing everything possible to protect its own people and to preserve our genetics.
Why do Chinese men now prefer to marry foreign brides? Is it true that Chinese women are really not as good as foreign women? Is it a case of worshipping the foreign, or is there something else going on? A friend of mine who works in the wedding industry one day was particularly busy and asked us friends to help out. When we arrived at the wedding, I was instantly shocked. It wasn't the size of the wedding that astonished me, but rather that there were 8 couples on stage. Among these 8 couples, all the grooms were Chinese, but none of the brides were Chinese. There were Japanese, Russian, Korean, and Vietnamese brides. Oh my God, it was simply jaw-dropping. After the wedding, we chatted with the grooms and learned from them that these foreign brides had all been introduced by friends. They noticed we were confused and provided further explanation, saying it's not that we didn't have the chance to meet Chinese girls, nor that we worship foreigners, but rather that these foreign girls don't ask for a house, a car, or a dowry, which is completely different from Chinese girls. Chinese girls require a fully paid house, a car, and a hefty dowry. It's truly unaffordable and too painful. If there happens to be a divorce, you'll also have to split the assets. The risks are just too high. After hearing his explanation, I instantly understood that reality is indeed as he said. Many girls demand that their partners buy a house, the property title must include their name, they want a car and a dowry. If the dowry is too low, the woman won't agree to marry. After marriage, if the man earns little, he is blamed for not being successful. If he earns a lot, he is complained about for not caring for the family and not spending time with her. On one hand, they enjoy the man's contributions unconditionally, and on the other hand, they drink toxic chicken soup and complain about the man's shortcomings. It's really too realistic. But one question everyone overlooks is that men are also human. They have flesh, blood, and emotions. They are not made of iron, nor are they gods. Why do many foreign women particularly like Chinese men? It's because they believe that Chinese men have a unique charm. They love their families, care for their wives, and are good to their children. In China, however, there's a large group of older single women who often say they would rather be single than settle for less. But I must say, if you want to find a handsome, sophisticated, romantic partner who has a house, a car, savings, can cook, is capable and treats you well, and even cares for your parents, what you're looking for isn't a partner, it's a superhero. Who is perfect? Let's be honest, do you deserve that? What do you have to offer? Just looks? When you turn off the beauty filter and take off your makeup, aren't you all the same? Do you have a good income? Open your account and check your balance. Look at your savings account and your bank card. Do you have a house, a car, and savings? And how much dowry does your family offer? Have you ever asked yourself what justifies your demands? Let me tell you clearly, every person has strengths and weaknesses. It's impossible for anyone to be perfect. Everyone's experiences are limited, and it's precisely because of these unreasonable demands that more and more men are seeking foreign brides. You can save money together to buy a house and save together to buy a car. You're not a beggar. Why should you demand so much from the other person while only taking for yourself? Friends, do you think that in the future there will be more and more older single women in China? If it were you, would you consider marrying a foreign bride?
If they believe that marrying a foreign woman will solve all their problems and that they are cheaper, little do they know that their real challenges are about to begin.
Many people think that marrying a foreign wife doesn't cost anything. Now, let me explain why marrying a foreign wife can be even more expensive. First, after marriage, you can't work while processing the marriage documentation, which can take up to 5 years. During this time, you need to see if you have the ability to support the family well. Why did I say 5 years? Because after that, you can apply for the 6 visa, which allows work, just like anyone else in China. Secondly, if you marry a beautiful foreign wife, she'll appear more sophisticated. But are you going to let her return home alone? How much does an international ticket cost? Can you afford to send her every year? Also, when a foreigner first arrives, she usually doesn't speak Chinese or understand anything about the country. What will make her like you? At first, she may not get used to things here and will only want to eat her home food, but imported products are really expensive. I've personally encountered this problem. Finding what she likes is costly. So, what do you need to have to marry a foreign wife? At the very least, good looks, the financial ability to support her, and foreign language skills. And one more very important thing, accepting cultural differences and respecting her customs. Can you handle someone else's way of thinking?
This phenomenon has generated collective criticism from many unmarried Chinese women who have even expressed their discontent online, cursing the families that married foreign girls and wishing for them to divorce quickly so they can return to choosing Chinese women. In recent years, the dating market in China has become increasingly open. Many Chinese men seeking marriage feel that the pressure to marry in the country is enormous, which is why they are increasingly opting for partners abroad. For example, many men from northeastern China choose to marry Russian women, as it is a dream for many of them to have a beautiful Russian woman with big eyes by their side. Meanwhile, men from regions like Yunnan, Guizhou, and Guangxi are even more open, choosing partners directly from countries like Vietnam and Myanmar. These women from small southern countries even take pride in marrying Chinese men, competing to find husbands. This situation should, in essence, be seen as something positive, as it is not easy for two people to reach a commitment. However, unmarried women in China do not view this trend favorably. Recently, a young man from Xi'an married a beautiful blonde Ukrainian woman, and the wedding was quite grand, with many friends and family present as witnesses. Although they have different nationalities, the couple held a traditional Chinese wedding ceremony, demonstrating significant importance to the event. Both were pleased with the successful execution of the wedding, and the bride stated that she did not ask for a dowry, but even gifted the groom a Chinese car valued at over 200,000. Despite this, the young man from Xi'an, who married a charming foreign woman, faced criticism from unmarried women in China. I have already addressed in other videos on the channel that even Chinese women are preferring to marry foreigners. In my opinion, what attracts Chinese and even Western men to want to relate to women from Southeast Asia is the fact that they maintain traditional values regarding marriage and family formation, unlike what is happening in the West, which is also beginning to establish itself in China. Furthermore, the growing financial independence of women places them in a stronger position, leading many to abandon traditional relationship styles. What do you think about Chinese men seeking relationships with foreign women? Do you agree with my perspective on women from Southeast Asia? If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more dilemmas like this. I'll see you in the next video.